Hey guys, I'm Christine with Holistic Homes and so excited to walk you through our journey of how I help families build a healthy home to finally heal from mold related illness, toxins, those unexplained symptoms without the fear and stress of getting it wrong. And this can easily save you, and it has for many other families, six figures plus in remediation costs. If you've ever gone through remediation, I am just going to guess here that it is something that you likely never want to have to go through again. And having a healthy home is a very basic human need that everyone should have access to. So I'm going to walk you through our journey that we take all of our clients through and show you why this is so successful. So first, I want to start off with, figuring out if this is really for you. And this process that I'm going to walk you through is definitely for you if you are finding in your current home or previous home that you've had construction defects, water intrusion, and just these issues that are popping up with so many even new construction homes. Even the EPA estimates that at least 50% of homes in the US have some level of mold. So we are here to get it right. This is for you if you or anyone in your family is sensitive to mold or other toxins. We got to get that stuff out of our homes. And then lastly, this is a huge investment if you are building or renovating or purchasing a home. We've got to protect it. So we don't need to be stuck with costly remediation costs. We want to get it right the first time. So I'm going to show you how we do that. But this is not for everyone. Going through this process of creating a healthy home is not going to be the right fit for everyone. It's not for you if you're not planning on building or renovating your home. So if you are thriving and doing well in your rental or the home you're in now, great. I'm all for it. Stay put and just enjoy, that goal of really what so many families are trying to get to. This is not for you if you are planning to build or purchase a production or a spec home. I'm going to explain what those are. So if you are planning on buying a home that's in a master planned development built by some big name national builders, not to be mentioned, this process is not for you. Truth is, those homes, they may give you a little bit of the feeling like this is a semi-custom home that you get to pick some finishes and tile, carpet, hardware. But truth is, those homes in master plan communities are not yours until escrow closes. So it's going to be really hard to navigate through some of these strategies that we use. So a production home or a spec home, those homes are already designed, they've got material selections, and you don't really get much say in those types of homes. So a little bit about those disclaimers there. And then before we get into this process, if you just want to learn a bit more about what we're doing and the success that we've had in helping families finally build their dream healthy home, we've got a ton of just great reviews on our Google page, so you can go check that out. I put a couple of them here because after all, we need some proof that what we're doing is actually working. So we've got some great reviews from clients that have done complete gut renovations, new builds from the ground up, even some clients here locally where I'm at in Southern California. I'm a licensed general contractor here in California and had the opportunity to work on some great projects here locally. But what we're doing is taking our knowledge and really, I think, our proprietary process of going from zero to completion and sharing it with many families and you all across the US and Canada so that you can implement this process too. So we want to give you a bit about our journey, and if this is something that you want to learn more about, see if your project is something that we can help on, there's a link below in this video that you can go through that process and see if we might be a good fit to work together. All right, so let me share with you our holistic home journey. And you are going to maybe be at a different stage in your project, but I want to give you really like big picture overview of what we do from start to finish. So the first place that all healthy homes start is with a lot. Got to have a lot to build the home on, but you may already have a lot. You may already have a home that's already built and you're wanting to renovate it. But I'm going to start with ground zero, quite literally. And so that is with lot selection. What we do here is ensure that the lot you are selecting meets your expectations. Unless you are building a mobile home, you cannot pick up that home and move it later. So the things we want to look at during the lot selection are, the flood zone potential, the water table. That's going to also get into the soil condition. Not all lots can have the same foundation. Soil is different. They require different foundations. So we want to really hone in on lot selection. So we've got some great resources to guide you through that whole process there. Then once you have the lot, got to get into architect selection. And this is not just hiring the architect that comes up in your Google search or that designed all of the homes on that same street. So we go through a vetting process, making sure that the architect is really on board with meeting your expectations. And we've got a lot of great questions and vetting conversations that we go through with architect selection. With this, we also have a ton of just referrals and resources all over the US. We've got close to over 200 different referrals between architects, contractors, and other experts that we like to bring into the entire process. So after you've got your lot, then want to take you through the architect selection process. Then once that architect is on board, then immediately into floor plan development and architectural details. This is really where the magic starts to happen. This is not just picking floor plan A, B, or C. No, we are making sure that your floor plan meets your family's needs. So of course you've got like bedrooms and bathrooms and square footage that's specific to you, but we want to get into the details of how things are going to flow and also looking at the floor plan through a holistic lens. Got to make sure we don't have electrical panels adjacent to sleeping areas, making sure that appliances aren't backing up to headboards, with potential EMF concerns, but also really looking at the floor plan, making sure that bathrooms are going to have good airflow and that they're not just stuck on the interior part of that floor plan. Lots more that we go through in the floor plan review and the architectural details, but the crux of all of this really hinges on meeting your expectations. And so the architect's going to start to develop all of this, and we want to come in and collaborate directly with you and the architect to make sure that expectations are being met. So a lot of magic happens in the floor plan and development of that. And then once the floor plan starts to get fine-tuned, got to get into material selections. And this is a really common overlooked area in residential planning and designing. If you ask an architect what is included in their package, it's likely that it's a floor plan, an elevation, a lighting plan, enough of a development in order to pull a permit. We're not stopping there. We got to take it further beyond that. So we go through material selections as well. Every home has good, better, best scenario. It is not a one size fits all, especially when we're talking about different climate zones. What's going to work in Florida is not always what's going to work in Arizona or Vermont. We got to look at the climate as well. So this is really our first tier process, getting through the architectural selections and the details that are going to make your home watertight and not have toxin exposure and not lead to construction defects. But what we do during that process is we also want to start the contractor selection as well. After all, you don't want to go through this entire process of fine-tuning all of these details only to then find out, oh, oops, we're, a couple $100,000 over budget here, or, oh, oops, the contractor that you selected isn't familiar with that type of waterproofing detail or that type of exterior water resistant barrier. So we've got to bring in a contractor during this process as well. And we definitely help with that selection process because this contractor is going to have an important role. They are implementing everything that is happening up here. So we've got to make sure that that contractor's on board with implementing. Reason that we prioritize this whole architectural stage, because what is on your plans, what is in your material selection document, that is going to become your contract with your contractor. So we want to leave as little as possible up to contractor implementation and just, taking, oh, well, we don't have a window flashing plan or we don't have an architectural detail for that. So we're going to do what we've done on all of our other projects. No, we don't want any surprises during construction. That is where a lot of the magic happens, is having expectations documented on a set of plans and material selection. So got to help coordinate good contractor selection as well. That's when things get fine-tuned, material selections, making sure that the contractor and their subcontractors are familiar with the strategies and the materials that are being detailed out for your plan. Because you can have a great material, but if it is not installed correctly, it's not going to perform. So we want to make sure that you are not the guinea pig of your project. So that is a big piece to bringing in all of the right team members and making sure that implementation is going to be smooth sailing. So after that phase, then it goes through contract review, setting expectations. See how this happens before anyone is picking up any shovels or hammers? Setting expectations. So you want to set expectations in the form of documentation, contracts, emails, recorded meetings. All of this needs to be clear as day for you, for the entire design and build team. And so that is where a lot of this magic happens before official construction begins, before contracts are signed. It has to be laid out very clear. So we take our clients from lot selection all the way down to contractor review and final expectations. All of this happens before any construction begins. But this alone is a huge improvement in the standard way of designing, building, even renovating. This is just simply not done in standard home design and construction. I'll tell you how it typically goes, is that the architect is selected, maybe based off of aesthetics. The architect then says, great, we'll start working on your floor plan. We'll have something over to you. Here's your floor plan. Here's your permit set. Here's everything that you've let us know based off of, what you need, square footage, bed, bath count, all of that. And then it goes over to the contractor and then they give you a bid that says, great, you want 5,000 square feet. Here's what it's going to cost. And then construction begins. That is so unclear as to what you are getting, what you are not getting, what are the material selections, and what the expectations are. So we are changing every bit of that process because this is a huge investment into building or renovating a home. But we don't stop there. I will tell you that. This alone is not going to get you to a healthy home. We have to have third-party verification. And we help coordinate all of that for our clients because even during this stage, when we're doing the floor plan details and collaborating directly with the architect on the best type of details to keep this a watertight assembly, still have to have third-party verification. And this is not to say negligence as the part of the contractor. This is to say, hey, you know what? We're building a really high quality home here, and we need to make sure we have all of the checks and balances in place during construction to verify that in fact these details are not actually leaking, because you're working with humans that are building your home, and there's room for human error. And that's okay as long as we have third-party verification. So we help coordinate leak testing, additional home inspections, anything that is needed based off of the details of your specific project to ensure that all checks and balances are in place. That is what we're coordinating to your specific lot and build and details. So let me give you this case study to just show you how important this really almost final step is here with this third-party verification. And it's going to look different for every project. And so we want to take it really on a case-by-case basis of what's needed for your particular build or renovation. But let me tell you about this project that we took on that was already it was mid-construction. It was already underway and framing was already happening. This is not ideal, I will tell you that, because we skipped all of these steps when we took that project on. But I wanted to help this client. She knew that, there was a lot missing in the details and oversight of her project, but we wanted to help. So I jumped into this project that was already mid-construction, and this was a project that was done over on the East Coast area, and framing had begun. And so we did not have control over the architect selection, any of the details, material selections, contractor. We didn't have any control over that. All that we had control over at that point was third-party verification. So the project had already started to go sideways during the framing stage, which is why this client had reached out to me. And so if I could give you a word of caution, don't wait until construction. Do not. You want to get all of this dialed in. But for the sake of this case study, let me share this with you. Framing had already begun, and the contractor, although she had verbally expressed her expectations regarding no moldy lumber, what did the contractor do? He had framed the home in what ended up being 90% of the lumber having visible mold. So what went wrong there? Expectations were not set. It was a verbal conversation. There was nothing in a contract, and there was nothing in writing. So we came in shortly after that, and we began setting expectations. So the lumber ended up getting remediated and replaced on part of the contractor. We were able to help turn that bus around. Then from then on out, we set the expectation that everything is going to be leak tested from the exterior. Now, we weren't involved in any of the selections or the material details, so we had a suspicion that things were not going to go well. And sure enough, that's exactly what happened here with this case study. I'll zoom in here on some of these images, but here, this window, when we had coordinated third-party leak testing, that window and just about all of the others had evidence of some form of water intrusion. So much so that the report showed from the third-party inspector that their testing had to stop because they were finding window after window after window had evidence of water intrusion. And so they had stopped performing the leak testing until the contractor could correct the issues. So this is what can happen if windows are not installed correctly and there are not proper details around the flashing. So we've got water intrusion happening here, water damage here on this subfloor that was actually the result of a roof leak. And then we've got additional details in the report that showed several leaks on the roof, even just with some simple water testing at the roof. So this is a scenario that I am here to help you avoid. Leak testing is a great check and balance, even when architectural details and material selections are what we like to see as high quality and high performing details. But it's happening on projects all over the US, Canada, and really all around the world, is that leaks are happening. How much better is it going to feel to discover something like this, hopefully on a much smaller scale, but discovering a leak during construction rather than if this home had just continued to be built without checks and balances, all of these leaks would have never been detected until it was too late, until it started to cause damage around the drywall around this window, leak at this valley in the roof, water intrusion behind the WRB. So many issues were picked up here in this case study where we were brought into the project during construction that it, although a big bummer in that particular scenario, a big just exhale to know that these issues were picked up during construction. So happy story. In the end of this case study here, all of these issues were caught, they were corrected, and the home underwent another round of leak testing to verify that it was not actually still being riddled with these issues here. So this is just a really snapshot start of how we take our clients through the beginning all the way through actual construction implementation to ensure that what they are building is protected and that it has the proper safeguards and checks and balances in place, because your home that you are investing your energy and your time in and your money should not be riddled with leaks that could then be leading to making you and your family or maybe your children sick in your home. This is a home that we want to be building to really be like an heirloom quality home. What happened to home construction to where they're just riddled with so many of these issues, whereas it feels like just 50 to 80 years ago, home construction was doing so much better. So we're not, in it for building these homes that are just going to be needing some major renovations in 5 years or less. No, we want you to be putting your money into a home that you feel confident in, that is not going to be riddled with water damage, construction defects, toxins, or making you or your family sick. So that's a bit about our process here. Every project is nuanced in their details, so wanted to give you a kind of high level overview of our process. But go ahead, click the link below, because we've got a journey that you can go through to kind of see what your best next steps are based off of where you are at in your project. So I hope I get to work with you on your project and really help you create your dream healthy home. So I'll see you on the next video. Thanks for hanging around.